Hello everyone and welcome back to Historical Accounts. Today we are looking at the USS Barb, a World War II submarine with one of the most impressive service records for submarines during the Second World War. Not only is this boat have an impressive record of sinking 17 enemy vessels, but it also launched a rocket attack on enemy installations and is the only ship to successfully launch a ground-based attack on the Japanese home islands. So let's go ahead and look at the rather impressive history of the USS Barb. Now, the USS Barb is a Gato-class submarine, which was actually the United States' first mass-produced submarine of World War II. Now, the Gato-class was the workhorse of the U.S. Navy submarine fleet at the beginning of World War II, until the later Baleo and Tench classes took over for it. And they even saw service in other navies, such as the Italian, Turkish, Hellenic, Brazilian, and even the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Forces. Now, as for the U.S. Barb itself, it was laid down in 1941 and would be launched and commissioned in 1942, and its entire service career was from October of 1942 until August of 1945. And in that time, it actually went through 12 patrols, and that meant that it actually went out, did a service patrol, and returned home 12 times successfully. Now, the first 5 patrols took place in the European theater, where it started its service during the invasion of North Africa, and later on would be a blockade runner trying to stop the Axis blockade near European waters for its next 4 patrols. Now, it is in the Pacific theater, where it did patrols 6 through 12, that it actually gained its impressive service record. Now, during its 7 patrol runs in the Pacific, it would end up sinking 17 enemy vessels, totaling for 96,000 tons worth of shipping sunk. Now, interestingly enough, one of those ships that the Barb sunk was actually the Japanese aircraft carrier Unyo. Now, this was a Taiyo-class escort carrier that was actually built out of a passenger liner known as the SS Yawata Maru. The Unyo would be destroyed by the Barb on September 17th. It fired 2 torpedoes, it knocked out its engine room, destroying its propulsion systems and its ability to steer. While this all happened, a storm actually built up on top of the ship and contributed to its sinking. Additionally, the Barb would actually be a rescuer ship, rescuing survivors of the sinking of the SS Rakuyo Maru. This troop transport had actually been sunk by the USS Sea Lion and actually had almost 1,000 Allied POWs on board. And while the overall success record of the first 11 patrols is rather high, it is the 12th that is the most interesting and unique. During the time between the 11th and 12th patrols, at the request of her captain, the Barb had a series of 5-inch rocket launchers installed on board the submarine. These rockets would be the first time ever a U.S. submarine would successfully attack a shore-based installation, and they would do so on the Karafuta prefecture, attacking 5 different towns successfully. This technique of using submarines to deploy missiles to attack against ground-based installations would become the future of naval warfare, as modern-day naval submarines all have this capability to launch surface-to-surface missiles. Then on the night of July 22nd to the 23rd, she landed the first successful ground-based attack on a Japanese main island when a group of sailors were deployed aboard the Karafuta prefecture, and they actually ended up planting explosive charges that would blow up a train, making the USS Barb the only submarine of World War II to successfully destroy a train during the war. And the war would actually end not much longer after this, so the Barb never saw service again with the United States. It would end up in the reserve fleet and transferred to Italy in 1954. And the Barb would remain with the Italian Navy as the Enrico Tazzoli until 1972, when she would be sold for scrap. And yes, while there was an attempt to save it as a museum ship before it would be scrapped, it just never happened. But there you have it, a look into the story of the USS Barb, an amazing submarine with an incredible record. It really had an amazing service record. 12 patrols is amazing on its own, but to sink 17 enemy vessels, including an aircraft carrier, launching a rocket attack on ground-based installation, something that had never happened before, and deploying essentially a commando unit to blow up a train was an amazing service record for this vessel. Sadly, it wasn't preserved, and its legacy ended basically in the scrap heap. But that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to talking to you on the next time.